Dolphins, they actually don't have a lot of players that they're going to lose. So that's a
Okay,
good sign.
that's good.
So for them, similar, they have a lot of big contracts. Tyreek Hill takes up the biggest contract on the books right now. They got Bradley Chubb, who's a big contract. Teron Armstead, Byron Jones, who they might cut potentially. That's a cut candidate that we've been hearing circling around. I think for them, they need to really solidify their O line and their backup quarterback. Not usually a problem for most teams, but for a team like the Dolphins, I think they should really consider a good, solid backup, and then from there, getting themselves a nice, solid running back in the draft.
Yeah, drafting a running back will be important. Good draft on defense. I would get a running back and then pick up some free agents with the offensive line, but you can't do too much in free agency, so you have to have a good draft. On defense, picking up some of those veteran players. We mentioned someone like Alex Kendrick, someone like a Frank Clark, who a lot of these young teams are probably going to be eyeing to add to their defense. And then for the Dolphins, yeah, I feel like quarterback is the most important position where you saw Skylar Thompson play the Bills, and then Josh Allen was a turnover machine and kept you in the game. So you're like, wait a minute. We were this close to beating Buffalo in Buffalo, and that was a game where we probably should have won it in Buffalo, and it was in the snow, and people were saying, we can't compete with the Bills, we can't go up north, and then we can't compete with the Bengals and the Chiefs in the cold weather. When we went up there, played a great game. Tua still looked good. He's not bad in the cold. He can still throw it. So it's like, but there's the concussion issue where if he gets a few more this year, probably going to be a tough situation where he's going to have to evaluate a lot of his values in his life and then what his purpose is. And then the offensive line is a thing where that's one of the reasons why he keeps getting sacked. And for a small quarterback, I think it's definitely important to protect an injury prone guy. But I think they need to bring in Carson Wentz to sit on the bench because Carson Wentz was good with Philadelphia, had his stint in Indianapolis where we saw that last year all of the problems weren't his fault. Some of it was on Frank Reich and they parted ways with him, and then the weapons there weren't as good as we thought they were. Offensive line's a little bit older. The defense didn't show up versus Jacksonville, and then people tried to lay everything on his feet when really wasn't his problem. Philadelphia just needed a fresh start, but he played some impressive seasons where college quarterbacks were playing receivers, and he was down to like the 6th and 7th receiver and then dragged them into the playoffs. And then the Washington situation, his coach is trying to make fun of him and say he's the reason why they're losing when he got hit more than anyone else in the league. Had a terrible offensive line, and then Heineke comes in and he gets injured because he was getting hit more than anyone else in the NFL. So Carson Wentz is a great guy to sit on your bench now. And if he wants to be a backup quarterback, there is no better team in the NFL than the Dolphins because Tua goes down and Carson Wentz, you're thinking in your mind that's a realistic thing that can happen. You have the best wide receiver duo, maybe in the league, at least the fastest. And what does he like to do? Throw it downfield, and you want someone who's going to let it fly. Carson Wentz is the perfect quarterback to do it, and you give him some talent. Can he be better than Skylar Thompson? Yeah. Yeah.
And Teddy Bridgewater.
Have we seen him with this much talent ever? No.
No,
we haven't.
Not even close.
Yeah, and we could see Carson Wentz realize his full potential.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, he'll be cheap.
The perfect backup.
Yeah, I think he'll be a great backup. So, if I can summarize what I want the Dolphins to do with their 21st pick, I think they should draft a running back, Bijan Robinson. Go for it. I think going for a Carson Wentz, and then if Carson Wentz decides to go somewhere else, maybe he decides to go to the XFL, or maybe he decides, or maybe he decides to take a year off and go fishing. Maybe a Jacoby Brissett or Taylor Heineke or Andy Dalton are there other options outside of that. But get some cap space, restructure some contract if you can. Salary cap, it's crazy. Base salary, boom. Roster bonus, boom. There we go. That's the solution for the Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely the solution because defense going to have to go in the draft, get that running back out of the way. Then you can focus on picking up some depth for your offensive line and going out there and getting someone who can really rush the passer. I feel like
Mhm.
is going to be really important. You went out there and you traded for Bradley Chubb, which I thought was huge for you,
Big
and you
move.
got a stud on defense. So now you have to pair some guys with him. So if you can attract someone like a Jordan Poyer who will be able to play with you, you don't have the most money you can pay him, but you can offer the fact that he's attracted to a place that doesn't have income tax.